All right, guys, so this week we're talking about technical mount, how to escape the position, how to get to the position when you are in top mount position. Arguably one of the most powerful top positions to start to get familiar with as a beginner. I have access to arm bars, chokes, back takes, etc. It's also very important to understand how to stay safe from bottom position when somebody takes technical mount on you. It'll likely happen a lot as a beginner. So let's get into it. All right, so a mistake that every beginner is going to make at some point in their jiu-jitsu practice, you go for the bridge and shrimp escape, you overcommit, you lose elbow position, you're not keeping those strong frames like we talked about in the last video for mount escapes, and your partner is able to get their hips behind the line of your elbow. We'll talk about going to technical mount in a little bit, but for now, we're just assuming we've made this mistake. Our partner's in prime position to set up technical mount on us. So as we would expect our partner to do, he's going to stuff that elbow, make sure that he's behind the elbow line the entire time, and transition into technical mount. Boom. Okay, so things have gotten much worse for us than a standard mount. I'd actually say that if I could immediately get right back to my back and put my partner back into a situation where he must take a regular mount with my back flat on the floor, I would rather that over having someone in technical mount like this. Now, you'll notice a couple things really quick. I'm using my left elbow in this case, the one closest to the mat, to prevent my partner walking his heel up any higher. He's got his heel in the pocket of the hip. If I could have got my forearm behind that heel and denied him access to my hip, that would have been a perfect situation. But in this case, I haven't. So I'm just keeping that elbow tight to my body, preventing him bringing the heel up any higher so that he can't start to isolate limbs. My right arm, I'm wedging that elbow nice and tight to my partner's body, preventing him being able to dig in a hook on that top side arm. I don't want him to be able to start to set up an arm lock. So I'm keeping my elbow tight to my body and putting some back pressure into my partner's hips so I'm not creating any space for him to be able to start to separate that arm from my body. So once I'm set up safe with my arms, I'm going to throw my legs forward and connect with the mat and start the action of a reverse shrimp. So I'm actually going to drive my hips forward into my partner's. All right. At the same time, I'm going to turn slightly up to the mat because I want to put his weight backwards. I don't want all of his weight on this near side leg if I'm going to look to move it. So I want to bump him backwards slightly as I reverse shrimp forwards. So I'm gripping the mat with the toes, opening my body upwards, and driving my hips forward into my partner. You'll notice that I also do that slight turn backwards. I'm almost bumping him with my shoulder to take the weight off the near side leg. So you know I'm all about jab crosses. So I created a bunch of space by driving forward, and now I create even more space by shrimping backwards immediately. So I hit that backward shrimp right off of the reverse shrimp where I was driving my hips forward. And you'll notice my right arm right now is wedged underneath my partner's leg. This is super important to prevent him just closing that leg right back to my hips and getting control again. So I've created space, reverse shrimp, shrimp backwards with a regular shrimp, and then I've put a wedge in place to prevent him getting hip control again. All right, super important detail. So oftentimes you'll need a little extra space. So one more shrimp, and I slide that top leg in, right? Opening my knee outwards into my partner to knock him even further off balance towards that back side. You can see he's based out on the mat with his left hand right now. I'm putting his weight backwards and off of me, and you can clearly see right now that probably only 10% of his body weight is actually over my hips, which means I'm quite mobile and able to start moving. Finally, to finish the escape, I'm going to put a little bit of gentle pressure pulling towards me on that heel, drive my knee forwards into my partner's knee. That'll cause them to fall over. And if there's many different things I could do from that position. I could enter the legs and start attacking the legs. I could come up into a split squat position. I could come up into a leg drag. Many options, but that's for your creativity. That's just to escape the position itself. I'll add a quick note that the final action of that waiter-ish style sweep or reversal up to top position can put a little torque on the knee. So just use discretion depending on your partner. I would just be careful how much pressure I pull on that heel. All right, so now our partner has made the mistake of bringing that elbow past the center line, and we're ready to punish them for it, teach them a good jiu-jitsu lesson of keeping those frames strong and bottom mount. So there's many ways that you can force that elbow past the center line. We won't talk about them right now. But from a beginner perspective, usually I'm going to find this position because my partner made a mistake with their frames, or maybe they pushed up on my chest and I kind of turned my chest to the side and that elbow drops past the center line. If I can recognize that moment when the elbow's past the center line, I'm always ready to jump into technical mount. Now, when you're first learning it, I would take it pretty slow, step by step. But when you get good at it, the second that I see that elbow past the center line, I can literally almost jump into the position and set things up nice and tight. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do once I sense that setup's available is slide the knee behind the back above the shoulder line. It's important that I'm above my partner's shoulders. We'll talk about why in a minute. Next thing, I'm wedging that heel into the pocket of my partner's hip to give me some hip control. The wedge behind the back is to prevent him just rolling back to mount position. So we want to trap him. Now, my favorite detail is I kind of torque things. I twist myself into position. I'm going to bring my left knee forward and my right knee backwards to fold him up as much as possible. The more folded he is, the more difficult it will be to do a reverse shrimp, which, as we now know, is a great option for my partner to start creating some space. Once I've got the lower body under control, I start looking to the upper body. As we talked about before, that top arm wedging inside is not a good thing. So I'm going to start to attack that top arm right away. More advanced level, we could start to look at arm locks. We could start to look at collar chokes as well as a way to open things up. But for now, we're assuming beginners. So I'm just going to put my partner in a gift wrap by passing that arm behind my partner's head. Now, this is an excellent control. If I just straighten my arm right now, really, really difficult position for my partner to escape from. A great way to even force a back take or a belly down back take. But we're going to upgrade things to a Kimura grip or a figure four. So I slide my right arm underneath my partner's through the gap and I connect to my own hand. At this point, I'm going to switch to monkey grips. All right, take those thumbs out of the grip and I'm ready to start attacking a back. All right, so there's three elements that I'd say from a beginner perspective are most important for a good back take from technical mount. This is oftentimes a frustrating position. People will find that they go for the back take, their partner ends up sort of on top of them in a quasi closed guard position. So these are the three details that I've seen time and time again. I'm able to tighten these up with students and kind of fix their back take from technical mount. So this is in order of what I feel like is most important. The first one is chest to back connection. And you'll see me set that up using the Kimura grip. So I'll use that Kimura grip, flaring the elbow to push my partner belly down and allow me to slip behind my partner's back. The next is spinal alignment. So the more in line my spine is with my partner's, the less perpendicular it is, the better for my back take. And I need to hold that the entire time. So chest to back connection and spinal alignment need to remain intact the entire time I'm moving towards the back. If I lose either of those throughout the transition to the back, I'll end up in that situation where my partner's rotated off center and I don't get a good back take. And the final note is that I'm above my partner's shoulder line. So in most cases, I need that left knee in this case, where we are right now, to be above my partner's shoulder line. If you find that you go to sit to your back take and your partner sort of lays down on the bottom leg and you can't complete the back take, it's usually because of that knee not being high enough on your partner's shoulders. So first thing on the list is chest to back connection. So look how I flare the elbow of the Kimura grip to force my partner slightly belly down. That gives me access to very easily place my chest on my partner's back. Sometimes the angles are a bit odd when my partner's sitting perpendicular, and keeping in mind, he's going to constantly be looking to put his back on the mat the entire time. So it can be difficult to get my chest behind his back. I found that using that Kimura grip, the mechanical advantage it provides, flaring that elbow allows me to tuck my chest in behind my partner's back and really establish a strong chest to back connection. So you can see me using it here. Now I bring that chest in behind. So I've facilitated a really strong chest to back connection here. You'll see as best as I possibly can, I've got ear to ear connection. I could probably get a little bit lower right now, but I feel decently confident. My knees above the shoulder line. Look at how I start to sit to the left hip. But just as that left hip touches the mat, I'm going to keep everything nice and tight and roll linearly across my hips to the opposite side. Look at how everything stays tight. The chest to back connection never varied, right? My ear to ear distance stayed the same the entire time. And that knee was above the shoulder, which means I cleared my partner so he didn't land on the bottom side leg. So you'll find three things there. If the chest to back connection is lost, then my partner's likely to come up into my closed guard or some sort of variation of an almost closed guard position. That's because they're able to rotate on their own accord, or as I start to go for the back take, I move away from them as they stay stagnant. So I'm sort of rotating myself. They're not coming with me. We're not attached. So that's the biggest thing, is chest to back connection. Next is the ear to ear. If my ear to ear connection is not good, I'll typically end up landing, or if I'm like perpendicular with my partner, it's going to feel like my partner's super, super heavy and I can't pull them over properly. So if you feel like you're having to put a whole ton of effort into pulling your partner to the back, it's likely the ear to ear connection. You got to get closer to good spinal alignment with your partner. And finally, if you find that you go for the back take and they land on the bottom leg and they're just kind of laying on that leg, and then you can't get the leg out, you can't get a hook around, you can't really pull them all the way into the back because they're not sitting in between your hips when you finish the back take, then that's usually you're needing to bring that knee above your partner's shoulder line so that they'll fall in between your hips as opposed to falling on your leg. So those are the three biggest things. I spent a long time watching beginners try this transition and really trying to get to the bottom of what causes the issues. I feel like if you clean up these three elements, there's some other really minor things to look at in terms of like how we land, and if we could trap an arm on the way through, etc. But these are the primary things that will lead to a successful back take from technical mount. And even though there's arm bars available and collar chokes available, etc., you focus on those when you're a little bit more experienced. The back take puts you into one of the best positions in Jiu Jitsu. Lots of attacks. They can't attack you. Scores awesome points in competition. I think it should be priority one for beginners to look for the back take over anything else from technical mount.